Sometimes the deepest wounds come from those we tried hardest to save. I gave him everything: my home, my heart, my future. In return, he left me with nothing but empty pill bottles and a growling stomach. My story isn't just about betrayal. It's about finding the strength to stand up when the person knocking you down calls you mom. If you're watching this, please subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. The pill bottle rattles emptily in my trembling hands. One tablet left. I need to make it last 3 more days. My stomach growls as I shuffle to the kitchen, bracing myself against the wall when the room tilts sideways. The refrigerator holds only condiment bottles and a half-empty carton of milk that expired last week. "Tyler?" I call downstairs, my voice weaker than I intend. "Are you home?" Silence answers me. It's been 3 days since I've seen my son. 3 days since I gave him the last of my pension money for what he called emergency car repairs. The same car I hear roaring to life at midnight, returning in the early hours of morning with the heavy bass of music vibrating through the floorboards. The kitchen table is covered with past due notices: electric, water, pharmacy bills. I lower myself into a chair, fighting the dizziness that's becoming my constant companion. My phone rings. Catherine. My finger hovers over the screen. My daughter has been calling more frequently lately, her voice tight with concern I pretend not to hear. What would I tell her? That at 68, I've become a prisoner in my own home? That the boy I rescued 12 years ago has become my jailer? I remember the day I first saw Tyler, a skinny 10-year-old with hollow eyes, standing on the sidewalk outside his mother's apartment after she'd been arrested. Something in his lost expression reminded me so much of my David, my beautiful boy taken from me decades ago in a senseless accident. "He needs me," I whisper to the empty kitchen, the justification worn smooth from repetition. The front door slams, heavy footsteps on the stairs. "Mom?" Tyler calls, voice artificially bright. "You awake?" He appears in the doorway, wearing clothes I've never seen: designer jeans, a leather jacket that must have cost a month of my medication. His eyes flick to the bills on the table, then away. "You look terrible," he says, frowning. "Have you been eating?" Before I can answer, he's rummaging through the cabinets, pulling out a packet of instant oatmeal, the last one. "Here," he says, preparing it like he's performing an enormous favor. "You need to take better care of yourself." My fingers close around the warm bowl, and I fight the urge to cry at this small kindness. "Tyler, I need to talk to you about money," I begin. His face hardens instantly. "Not this again." "My prescription—" "I told you I'd handle it," he snaps. "I've got a business opportunity that's going to solve everything. I just need a little more capital." "But the bank called about a loan." "They're just trying to scare you." He kneels beside me, takes my hands in his. "Don't you trust me? After everything I've done for you?" The room spins. My heart pounds in my ears. "You're all I have," he whispers. The last thing I see before collapsing is Tyler's expression shifting from concern to annoyance, his hand reaching not for me, but for my phone as it clatters to the floor. I wake to the sterile brightness of a hospital room, the steady beep of monitors, the pinch of an IV in my arm. "Mom?" Catherine stands by the window, her businesswoman's posture unable to hide her exhaustion. Her dark hair is pulled back severely, making her look more like her father than ever. "How long?" I ask, my voice a dry rasp. 2 days. She approaches the bed, hands clenched at her sides like she's restraining herself from shaking me. "Your blood sugar was dangerously low. You're malnourished. The doctor said you haven't been taking your medication regularly." I look away. Sometimes I forget. "Don't!" The word bursts from her like a gunshot. "Don't lie to me." A nurse enters, checks my vitals, and leaves with a sympathetic smile. When the door closes, Catherine pulls a chair beside the bed. "Tyler hasn't been here," she says flatly. "He's busy with— I called him 6 times, left 3 messages." I fidget with the blanket edge. "He's looking for work." Catherine places a folder on my lap. Inside are bank statements, my bank statements, showing withdrawal after withdrawal. "He takes your entire pension the day it arrives." Her voice is measured, controlled. "What's he doing with $2,000 every month, Mom?" "He has expenses. So do you, like food, medicine." I close the folder, push it away. "You don't understand. He's had a difficult life." "And what about your life?" Catherine stands abruptly. What about mine? Emma asked about you yesterday. Her grandmother. Do you know what I told her? That you're too busy with your new son to visit your granddaughters. The unfairness stings. That's not true, isn't it? When was the last time you called them? Their birthdays? Christmas? Memory fails me. The days blur together in a fog of hunger and worry. Catherine's phone buzzes. She checks it, her expression hardening. What? I ask. Tyler just posted on Instagram. Want to see what he's doing while you're in the hospital? She holds up her phone. Tyler smiling at a nightclub, champagne bottle in hand, surrounded by friends. The timestamp shows last night. That's not what it looks like, I stammer. What about this? She swipes to another photo. Tyler in front of a mirror, showing off a watch I've never seen. The caption reads, New Rolex, hard work pays off. My heart contracts painfully. He must have saved up. Catherine's laugh is bitter. From what job, Mom? He hasn't worked in 3 years. He has business ventures. Is that what he calls stealing from you? The room falls silent, except for the heart monitor betraying my distress. Catherine rubs her temples. I'm sorry, she says finally. But something's very wrong here. I found these in your car. She holds up credit card statements. 5 different cards I've never seen, all maxed out. All in my name. I didn't open these, I whisper. I know. Catherine takes my hand, her voice gentler now. Mom, I think Tyler has been stealing your identity. The door swings open, and there he stands. My son, my jailer. His eyes register Catherine, the statements in her hand, and his expression transforms into something I've never seen before. Something that makes me afraid. Catherine stays with me in my house for the next 3 days. Tyler makes himself scarce, appearing only in brief theatrical bursts of concern when others are watching. I was so worried about you, Mom, he says loudly when the home health nurse is checking my vitals. His arm around my shoulders feels like a steel trap. After the nurse leaves, Catherine and I move through the house like archaeologists, uncovering evidence of a life I barely recognize as my own. The refrigerator's emptiness is no accident. Grocery deliveries I ordered but never received. Automatic payments stopped months ago. Let's check his room, Catherine says. No, we shouldn't invade his privacy, I protest weakly. She fixes me with a look that channels her father so powerfully it takes my breath away. Mom, he invaded yours when he took out loans in your name. The basement door opens to another world. The stairs are difficult for me, but I insist on seeing for myself. The contrast is shocking. While upstairs grows shabbier by the day, Tyler's domain gleams with luxury. An enormous TV mounted on the wall. Gaming equipment worth thousands. A closet of designer clothes, many still bearing tags. All this time, I whisper, touching a shoebox containing unworn sneakers priced at what my monthly food budget should be. I've been so blind. Catherine doesn't gloat or say, I told you so. She just holds my elbow, steadying me. Is there anything else I should know about? She asks. I think of the stack of mail Tyler insists on collecting each day. The phone calls he screens. The friends who gradually stopped visiting after he told them I was too tired for company. I don't know anymore, I admit. I thought I was helping him. We find the financial evidence scattered throughout his room. Credit card statements carefully hidden between mattress and box spring. Loan paperwork tucked into video game cases. A notebook detailing Mom's finances with disturbingly methodical calculations of exactly how much he could take without causing catastrophic collapse. I sink onto his bed, holding a credit card bill for clothes purchased the same week I watered down my soup to make it last. He knew exactly what he was doing, I say, the realization crystallizing like ice in my veins. Catherine kneels before me. Mom, this is financial abuse, elder abuse. It's criminal. He's my son, I say automatically. No, David was your son, Catherine says quietly. Tyler is someone who saw a lonely woman with resources and exploited her grief. The words hit like physical blows. I open my mouth to defend him, to defend my choice, but the evidence surrounds me in piles of luxury bought with my hunger. The front door opens upstairs. Tyler's footsteps cross the ceiling. Mom, you home? His voice carries down the stairs, the friendly tone setting my teeth on edge. How had I never noticed the falseness before? Catherine and I exchange glances, quickly replacing everything. We make it upstairs just as Tyler enters the kitchen. He freezes at the sight of us together, his eyes darting between our faces, calculating. "Hey," he says to Catherine, voice cool. Then, warmer. "Mom, how are you feeling?" I was so worried. He moves to embrace me, and for the first time I step back. His eyes narrow almost imperceptibly. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," I lie, and the ease with which the falsehood comes to my lips startles me. Have I learned this from him? Just tired. Later, after Tyler leaves to meet a friend, Catherine shows me one final discovery, a partially completed application to refinance my nearly paid-off home, with a forged signature that looks disturbingly like my own. "If this had gone through," she says, "you would have lost everything." That night, I dream of David, not as the 19-year-old who died, but as the man he might have become. In the dream, he asks why I replaced him. I wake with tears on my face and clarity in my heart. "You need to report him," the financial investigator says bluntly. He's a former fraud detective Catherine hired, his office cluttered with files of similar cases. "He could go to jail," I reply, hands twisting in my lap. "He should go to jail," he counters. 5 credit cards, 3 personal loans, identity theft, elder financial abuse. Ms. Wilson, in my 20 years investigating these cases, this is textbook exploitation. Catherine remains silent beside me. She hasn't pressured me either way, but the cost of the investigator, the part-time nurse, her extended absence from work. I know the toll this is taking. "What other options do I have?" I ask. "You could try to handle it privately. Demand repayment, cut him off financially, evict him from your home." He shrugs. "But without legal consequences, what's his incentive to stop, or not to do it to someone else?" My stomach clenches. Someone else? The investigator slides a folder across his desk. Inside is a police report from a neighboring county, a complaint filed by the family of an elderly woman. The details are redacted, but one name stands clear: Tyler Wilson, person of interest. "This never led to charges," he explains. "The family just wanted him to stay away from their grandmother." "How did you find this?" Catherine asks. "It's my job." He meets my eyes. "Ms. Wilson, your son has a pattern. This isn't a one-time mistake." The word son sends a pang through me. Is that what Tyler is? The answer isn't as clear as it once was. Outside, Catherine and I sit in her car, neither of us ready to return home where Tyler might be waiting. "What do you want to do, Mom?" she asks finally. The question is simple. The answer isn't. "I need time," I say. Catherine nods, starts the car. "You're staying with me tonight. We'll get some clothes from the house, then go to my hotel. Tyler will wonder where I am." "Good." Her jaw tightens. Let him worry for once. At home, Tyler's car is gone. We pack quickly, medications, clothes, a few photographs. As I reach for my wedding album, a folded paper slips out. It's a letter from Robert's attorney, dated 5 years ago, regarding a trust fund. "What's this?" I ask Catherine. She reads it, her face draining of color. "Dad set up a college fund for Emma and Lily. It was supposed to transfer to my control when Emma turned 12. She looks up. "That was 3 years ago. I never received it." Memory stirs. Tyler bringing papers for me to sign during a bout of flu, my hand shaky on the pen. "I think I signed it over," I whisper, "without reading it." Catherine's shoulders stiffen, but her voice remains even. "How much was in the account?" $20,000. Your father started it the year before Hettied." She closes her eyes briefly. When she opens them, something has hardened in her expression. "That was the last gift my father could give his granddaughters," she says quietly. "And Tyler stole it." My remaining defense of Tyler crumbles. This isn't about me anymore. This is about David's legacy, Robert's wishes, my granddaughters' futures. As we leave, I glance back at the house where I've lived for 40 years, the home where I raised Catherine, where I mourned David and Robert, where I thought I was saving Tyler. "I want to press charges," I say. Catherine's hand finds mine across the console, squeezing gently. "Are you sure?" I think of the empty pill bottle, the hunger pangs, the forged signatures, the stolen trust fund. "Yes," I say, my voice stronger than it's been in years. "It's time." As we drive away, I spot Tyler's car turning onto our street. Our eyes meet briefly through the windshields. The look on his face tells me he knows something has changed. For the first time in years, the fear I feel isn't for him, but of him. I've frozen your accounts and credit, the bank manager explains, his expression sympathetic but professional. We've flagged your identity with the credit bureaus. No new accounts can be opened in your name. I nod, signing the paperwork Catherine has carefully reviewed. We've spent the morning securing what remains of my finances, pitifully little after years of Tyler's systematic draining. What about the existing loans, I ask. The manager's smile tightens. That's more complicated, since Mr. Wilson is a household member with authorized access to some accounts, proving fraud will be difficult. But the signatures are forged, Catherine objects. Perhaps, but he had legitimate access to her personal information, mail, and home. The burden of proof is higher in family fraud cases. Another dead end. Another system failing to protect me from the person who should have protected me. Outside the bank, Catherine checks her watch. The locksmith should be done by now. Ready to go home? Home. The word has a hollow ring. What if Tyler's there? I ask. That's why I asked the locksmith to install a peephole, too. We drive in silence, Catherine's knuckles white on the steering wheel. I know she's calculating costs. Financial, emotional, professional. This extended stay is jeopardizing her job, straining her savings. You should go back to Chicago, I tell her. To your daughters. Not until we've settled this. Catherine, you've already done so much. Not enough. Her voice breaks slightly. I should have seen this coming years ago. I should have pushed harder when I noticed the warning signs. This isn't your fault. It's not yours either, Mom. But it is, partly. Every warning sign ignored, every excuse made, every time I chose Tyler's lies over Catherine's concerns. At home, the new keys turn smoothly in new locks. The house feels different, mine again somehow. Catherine installs something small and electronic near the ceiling. A camera, she explains. It connects to an app on both our phones. Is that necessary? Yes. No explanation offered. None needed. That evening my phone rings. Tyler's number. My finger hovers over the screen. You don't have to answer, Catherine says. But I do. Hello? Mom? Where are you? His voice holds the perfect blend of concern and confusion. I came home and you were gone. The locks are changed. What's going on? I'm taking some time away, I say, the rehearsed words steady. Away? Why? Are you okay? Is this Catherine's idea? The subtle dig, the implication that my daughter is controlling me, his usual tactic. It's my decision, Tyler. But where are you staying? You need your things, your medication. Let me bring them to you. I have everything I need. A pause. When he speaks again, his voice has a dangerous edge. This isn't like you, Mom. What's Catherine been telling you? Nothing that isn't true. Which is what, exactly? The pretense of concern vanishes. That I'm some kind of criminal? That I've been stealing from you? After everything I've done for you? The last question ignites something in me. A slow burning anger that's been smoldering for years. What exactly have you done for me, Tyler? The silence stretches. Then, I've been there for you. Every day. When Catherine abandoned you. Catherine didn't abandon me. You drove her away. Is that what she told you? She left because she's selfish. She's always been jealous of our relationship. Once these words would have worked. The subtle manipulation. The rewriting of history. Not anymore. Tyler, I say calmly. I know about the credit cards, the loans, the trust fund. Another silence, longer this time. I can almost hear him calculating, reformulating his strategy. I can explain all of that, he finally says. I was going to pay it back. It was for us, for our future. Our future? I repeat. I was starving, Tyler. Missing medication doses. While you bought designer clothes and Rolex watches. You're twisting things. You're confused. His voice hardens. This isn't you talking. It's her. No, Tyler. For the first time in years, this is me talking. I end the call before he can respond. My hands are shaking, but not from weakness this time. From resolve. 6 weeks later, I barely recognize my reflection. My clothes hang less loosely on my frame. The dark circles beneath my eyes have faded. Regular meals and medication have restored some of my strength. But the physical changes pale compared to the internal ones. Your blood pressure's almost normal, Dr. Patterson says during my checkup. Glucose levels stabilizing too. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. What I'm doing is reclaiming my life, piece by piece. I've moved back into my house with new security features Catherine insisted upon. Cameras, better lighting, an alert system that connects directly to the local police. The basement has been cleared of Tyler's possessions. The space reclaimed as a guest room for when Catherine visits with my granddaughters. The legal wheels turn slowly. The police investigation continues, building a case methodically. Detective Rivera updates me weekly, her expressions carefully neutral when she describes the evidence they're gathering. Financial crimes take time to prosecute, she explains. But we're making progress. I've learned patience. And boundaries. Tyler still calls, his approaches evolving as each strategy fails. First came anger, accusations, threats, attempts to make me feel guilty. When those didn't work, he switched to remorse. Tearful apologies, promises to change, rehab stories. Now he's trying financial desperation, claims of homelessness, hunger, every conditions he inflicted on me. I maintain the same response. I'll speak with you when you're ready to take responsibility and make amends. Today, I'm meeting my new financial advisor, another of Catherine's suggestions. The woman across the desk is younger than I expected, but her expertise quickly becomes apparent. We can't recover everything, she explains, reviewing my portfolio, but we can create a sustainable plan moving forward. Will I lose the house? The question that's haunted me. Not if we're careful. The fraudulent loans are being investigated, which helps, and your pension, while modest, is secure. Relief washes over me. What about my granddaughter's trust? Her expression softens. That's more complicated. The funds were legally transferred, even if the circumstances were questionable. I want to replace it, I say firmly, even if it takes years. We'll make it a priority in your financial recovery plan. As I leave her office, my phone buzzes with a notification from the security app. Someone is at my front door. Tyler. He looks different, thinner, less polished. The designer clothes replaced by worn jeans and a faded t-shirt. He rings the doorbell again, shifts impatiently. I watch through my phone screen as he tries the door handle, then moves to peer through windows. His expression darkens when he finds them locked, curtains drawn. He returns to the door, pounding now. Mom, I know you're in there. We need to talk. I text Catherine. Tyler's at the house. Her response is immediate. Don't answer. I'm calling the police. I watch as Tyler circles the house, trying each entrance. The calm, rational part of me knows I should feel frightened, but instead, I feel something unexpected. Pity. This desperate young man, reduced to prowling around a house he once freely dominated. He looks small on my phone screen. Diminished. My phone rings. The local police department. Ms. Wilson, we've received an alert about a possible intruder at your residence. Yes, I confirm. My son is trying to enter without permission. There's a restraining order. Officers are on their way. Please stay on the line. Through the app, I watch as Tyler returns to the front door, his frustration evident in every movement. He kicks the door once, hard enough to make me wince. Then he does something unexpected. He sits on the front step, head in his hands. For a moment, I see a flash of the lost 10-year-old I first met, alone, abandoned. The moment passes when he looks up directly at the camera, his expression transforming into something calculated and cold. I know you're watching, he says quietly. This isn't over. Blue lights flash in the street. Tyler stands, straightens his clothes, puts on a bewildered expression as officers approach. I can't hear their exchange, but I can read the performance in his body language. Confusion, innocence, concern. The police aren't fooled. They check the restraining order on their tablet, speak firmly to Tyler, escort him to his car. Ash drives away. I exhale a breath I didn't realize I was holding. My phone buzzes with a text from Catherine. You okay? For the first time in years, I answer honestly. Yes, I think I am. Tell me about the day you decided to adopt Tyler, Dr. Levine says. I've been seeing the therapist for 2 months now. Another of Catherine's suggestions that I initially resisted but now value deeply. It was the anniversary of David's death, I reply. 25 years. Something about that number felt so final. Dr. Levine nods, waiting for me to continue. Robert had been gone for 10 years by then. Catherine was busy with her career, her new baby. I was retired, alone in that big house. I twist the tissue in my hands. When I saw Tyler standing outside his mother's apartment after the police took her away, something just clicked. You saw an opportunity to mother again. I saw David, I admit. Not literally, but there was something in his eyes. That same vulnerability. Did you ever tell Tyler about David? The question catches me off guard. Not really. I mentioned having a son who died, but we never discussed it at length. Why not? I consider this. I didn't want him to feel like a replacement. Was he? The bluntness of the question makes me flinch. No. Yes. Maybe partly at first. And how do you feel about Tyler now? This is the hardest question, one I've been circling for months. Angry, I finally say. Betrayed. Foolish. I pause. And worried. Worried that I failed him somehow. That if I'd been a different kind of mother, he wouldn't have become, I trail off, a predator, Dr. Levine supplies gently. I wince at the word, but don't deny it. Margaret, we've discussed this before. Tyler showed signs of conduct disorder from an early age. His behavioral problems predated your adoption. But the most loving parenting can't always overcome certain psychological patterns. You provided stability, opportunities, boundaries. Tyler made his choices. Later, driving home from therapy, I take a different route than usual. Without consciously planning to, I find myself parking outside the community center where Tyler's probation officer works. Officer Jennings has contacted me several times since the investigation began, asking if I'd be willing to provide information about Tyler's history. Until now, I've hesitated, torn between justice and maternal protection. The waiting room is sparse but clean. Officer Jennings, a steady-eyed woman in her 40s, shows me to her office. "Thank you for coming in, Ms. Wilson," she says. "I know this can't be easy." "Is he in trouble?" I ask. "New trouble, you mean?" She consults her file. "Not officially, but he's missed 2 check-ins, which violates his probation terms for the previous charges. Previous charges. Small thefts, vandalism. The juvenile record I never knew about until Catherine's investigation uncovered it. What happens now? That depends partly on the current investigation and partly on him. She studies me. And partly on you. Me? Your testimony would strengthen the case significantly, but we'd understand if you're reluctant. I think of my empty pill bottle, my growling stomach. The trust fund meant for my granddaughter's education. "I'll testify," I say, the words coming easier than expected. Officer Jennings nods, neither approving nor disapproving. "We'll be in touch when the prosecutor is ready." As I stand to leave, she adds, "Ms. Wilson, regardless of what happens legally, I hope you're taking care of yourself." "I'm learning to," I reply. At home, I check my security app before entering. A new habit. The house is empty, secure. I make tea and sit at my kitchen table where bills once piled up. Now there's a vase of flowers Catherine sent, cards from my granddaughters, a calendar marked with upcoming visits. My phone rings. An unknown number. I answer cautiously. "Ms. Wilson?" A man's voice, unfamiliar. "This is Detective Morales with County Police. We have Tyler Wilson in custody." My heart stutters. "What happened?" "He attempted to access your bank accounts using counterfeit ID. The fraud alert you placed caught it. Is he okay?" A pause. "Physically, yes. But Ms. Wilson, given the existing investigation and this new offense, he's facing serious charges." After we disconnect, I sit motionless, the tea cooling untouched before me. In my mind, I see 2 images, Tyler at 10, hollow-eyed and lost, and Tyler at 22, coldly calculating as he drained my accounts while I went hungry. Both are real. Both are him. Both are part of what I must reconcile. I pick up my phone again and make the hardest call of my life. "Catherine? It's Mom. Tyler's been arrested, and I need to make a statement." The courtroom feels smaller than it appeared on television. Harder, colder. The wooden bench digs into my back as I wait, Catherine's hand steady in mine. All rise. The judge enters, a stern-faced woman whose eyes sweep the courtroom efficiently. The proceedings begin with legal terminology that washes over me until I hear Tyler's name. He enters from a side door, escorted by an officer. The orange jumpsuit hangs loosely on his frame. His eyes find mine immediately, his expression a carefully crafted blend of remorse and silent pleading. Once, that look would have worked. Once, I would have withdrawn charges, begged for leniency, blamed myself. Not today. The charges are read: identity theft, wire fraud, financial elder abuse, violation of restraining order, forgery. Tyler pleads not guilty to all counts, his voice steady, reasonable. I'm called to testify. As I pass him on my way to the stand, Tyler whispers, "Mom, please." The prosecutor is a compact woman with direct questions. Yes, those are my bank statements. No, I did not authorize those loans. Yes, that's my forged signature. No, I was not aware of the credit cards opened in my name. Ms. Wilson, she says finally, can you describe your living conditions during this period? I take a deep breath. I was often hungry. I rationed my diabetes medication because I couldn't afford refills. I wore the same clothes for years while Tyler bought designer brands. I kept the heat at 60 degrees in winter to save money while he purchased electronics and luxury items. Did you give your son permission to use your identity for financial transactions? No. Did you authorize him to take loans in your name? No. What happened when you confronted him about these discoveries? He denied everything. Then he blamed me for being confused. Then he threatened me. Tyler's attorney objects. Speculation about my client's intent. Sustained, the judge rules. Throughout my testimony, I never look at Tyler directly. It's easier that way. But I feel his eyes on me, first beseeching, then angry, finally calculating. During cross-examination, his attorney tries to paint me as a confused elderly woman, manipulated not by Tyler, but by my daughter who abandoned me for years, then suddenly reappeared to drive a wedge between mother and son. Mrs. Wilson, isn't it true that you frequently gave your son money willingly? Yes, when he claimed it was for necessities or emergencies. And isn't it possible you simply forgot authorizing these other transactions? No. Your Honor, I'd like to submit medical records indicating the witness has experienced episodes of confusion consistent with early cognitive decline. My heart pounds. These are my private medical records. How did they get them? The prosecutor objects, and a sidebar ensues. I finally risk looking at Tyler. His expression is blank, unreadable. The judge rules the medical records inadmissible without proper authentication and foundation. When I'm finally excused, my legs shake so badly, Catherine has to help me back to our seat. The prosecution calls their financial expert, who methodically documents the pattern of fraud. The defense calls a character witness, a young woman who dated Tyler briefly, claiming he was generous and devoted to his mother. Hour after hour of testimony, documents entered into evidence, objections sustained and overruled. Finally, the closing arguments. The prosecutor describes a calculated campaign of exploitation. The defense portrays a misunderstood son helping a declining mother manage her finances. The judge calls a recess before rendering her decision. In the hallway, Catherine gets me water while I lean against the wall, exhausted. Ms. Wilson? I turn to find Tyler's probation officer, Officer Jennings. How are you holding up? She asks. It's harder than I expected, I admit. She nods. These cases often are, but your testimony was clear and compelling. Will it be enough? That's up to the judge, but she hesitates. You should prepare yourself. First-time financial offenders often receive lighter sentences than you might expect. The implication hangs in the air. Tyler might walk free. What happens then? I ask. The restraining order remains in effect, and my office will monitor him closely. Small comfort against the chill that settles in my bones. We're called back into the courtroom. The judge's expression gives nothing away as she reviews her notes. In the case of State versus Tyler Wilson, on the charges of identity theft, wire fraud, elder financial abuse, and forgery, I find the defendant guilty on all counts. The relief weakens my knees. Catherine's arm tightens around my shoulders. For sentencing, the judge continues, I take into account the systematic nature of these crimes, the vulnerability of the victim, and the violation of trust inherent in these actions. She looks directly at Tyler. Mr. Wilson, you exploited someone who opened her home and heart to you. You repaid kindness with calculated cruelty. This court sentences you to 3 years in state prison. with eligibility for parole after 18 months, contingent upon completion of financial counseling and psychological evaluation. Tyler's face drains of color. He looks toward me, not with remorse, but with naked fury that confirms every decision I've made. As they lead him away, I feel no triumph, no vindication, only the quiet certainty that I've finally done what I should have done years ago. Protected myself. The garden sprouts tender green shoots, where once there was only packed dirt. Kneeling in the soft earth, I plant another row of tomato seedlings, my fingers working the soil with newfound strength. "Careful with your back, Mom," Catherine calls from the porch where she's assembling a new outdoor chair. "I'm fine," I reply, and for the first time in years, it's not a lie. 6 months have passed since Tyler's sentencing. The legal aftermath continues, negotiations with creditors, paperwork to clear fraudulent debts, the slow rebuild of my credit. But day by day, my life reclaims its shape. Catherine visits monthly now, bringing my granddaughters who are slowly getting to know the grandmother they barely remembered. Lily, now 17, helps me with technology. Emma, 15, shares my unexpected interest in gardening. "Miss Wilson?" I look up to see Detective Rivera standing at the garden gate. She visits periodically, updating me on the case's loose ends. "Come in," I call, peeling off my gardening gloves. Catherine's making iced tea. We sit on the porch, the detective's folder balanced on her lap. Catherine joins us, her expression guarded. These visits often bring complicated news. "We've completed the asset recovery process," Detective Rivera begins. "Unfortunately, most of the money is gone, spent on depreciating items or untraceable cash withdrawals." I nod, unsurprised. "What about the trust fund for my granddaughters?" She consults her notes. "The bank has agreed to restore 60% as a gesture of goodwill, acknowledging their failure to verify the transfer authorization properly." Catherine's sharp intake of breath tells me this is more than she expected. "There's something else," the detective continues. "Tyler's eligible for his first parole hearing in 6 months. The prosecutor wanted you to know in advance." The seedling in my hand suddenly feels fragile, vulnerable. "What does that mean exactly?" I ask. "It means the parole board will evaluate whether he's ready for supervised release. Your input would be considered in their decision." "He's only served a year," Catherine objects. "Good behavior, completion of required programs, prison overcrowding, all factors that can accelerate parole eligibility." After the detective leaves, Catherine and I sit in silence, watching shadows lengthen across the newly planted garden. "What are you thinking?" she finally asks. "That I'm not ready to see him, or have him back in our community?" "You don't have to. You can submit a written statement." I nod, but uncertainty gnaws at me. What would I say? That I'm still afraid? That I haven't forgiven him? That despite everything, I sometimes wake at night wondering if I could have prevented this somehow? That evening I call Dr. Levine for an unscheduled session. "It's normal to have conflicted feelings," she assures me. "He hurt you deeply, but he was also your son for 12 years. Was, I repeat, the past tense settling heavily. "Margaret, what do you want from this parole process?" I consider the question carefully. Justice has been served. He's facing consequences. I don't need vengeance. But I need safety, peace, to know he won't return to old patterns. Those are reasonable needs. Your statement can reflect that, neither vindictive nor naive." The next morning brings a letter from the prison chaplain. Tyler has been attending services, participating in restorative justice programs. The chaplain believes his remorse is genuine, his changes meaningful. I've heard such assessments before, seen Tyler's remarkable ability to present whatever face serves his immediate needs. Catherine finds me rereading the letter on the porch. "You don't owe him anything, Mom. Not your forgiveness, not your advocacy, not even your attention." I know. I fold the letter carefully, but I owe myself closure. 2 days later, another letter arrives, this one from Tyler himself. The envelope sits unopened on my bedside table for a week before I find the courage to read it. The handwriting is familiar yet strange, more careful than I remember. "Dear Mom," it begins. "I don't expect forgiveness or even understanding. What I did was unforgivable. I'm writing because the counselor here says owning my actions is the first step toward changing them." 4 pages follow, acknowledgement of specific harms, expressions of remorse, descriptions of programs he's completing, plans for a different future. The words are right. The tone is right. And yet, I've heard perfect apologies from him before, seen convincing tears, believed heartfelt promises. The letter ends. I understand if you never want to see me again, but I hope someday to show you, not just tell you, that I can be better than the person who hurt you. I placed the letter in a drawer, next to David's old journal. 2 sons, 2 paths, 2 pieces of my heart. That night, I began drafting my statement to the parole board, not from anger or fear, but from hard-won wisdom, not to punish Tyler, but to protect myself and others who might cross his path, not as his mother, but as his victim. It's the hardest thing I've ever written, and the most honest. The parole hearing room is smaller than I imagined, institutional and bland. I sit straight-backed beside Catherine, hands folded in my lap to hide their trembling. You don't have to do this, she whispers, not for the first time. The written statement was enough. I need to see him, I reply, to know if anything has really changed. The door opens. Tyler enters, escorted by a corrections officer. The orange jumpsuit has been replaced by plain navy clothing, a small dignity afforded for the hearing. He looks different, thinner, paler, his once carefully styled hair now close-cropped. Our eyes meet briefly before he looks away, taking his seat across the room. The parole board members introduce themselves, 3 serious-faced individuals whose expressions reveal nothing of their thoughts. They review Tyler's case file, his behavior in prison, the programs completed. Mr. Wilson has demonstrated exemplary conduct during his incarceration, the head of the board notes. He's completed financial responsibility training, anger management, and victim impact awareness programs. His counselors report consistent progress. I listen, wondering how much is genuine change and how much is Tyler's chameleon-like adaptation to whatever environment will serve his interests. We have received and reviewed Ms. Margaret Wilson's written statement, the board head continues. Ms. Wilson has also requested the opportunity to address the board directly. Tyler's head lifts, surprise evident in his expression. I stand, steadier than expected, the paper with my prepared remarks unnecessary. The words I need are etched in my heart. My name is Margaret Wilson. Tyler Wilson committed financial fraud against me over a period of 3 years, resulting in significant financial and health consequences. He exploited my trust as his adoptive mother and caretaker. The formal opening gives way to something more personal. 12 years ago, I adopted Tyler believing I could provide the stability and love he needed. I failed to recognize the warning signs of his behavior or to establish appropriate boundaries. That was my mistake, and I've worked to understand and correct it. Tyler watches me, his expression unreadable. I cannot speak to whether Tyler has changed. Prison provides structure and consequences that weren't present in our home. The real test would come with freedom and access to vulnerable individuals. I pause, gathering strength for what comes next. If the board grants parole, I request the following conditions. First, that their restraining order remains in full effect. Second, that Tyler's probation includes regular financial monitoring. Third, that he be prohibited from working with or having financial access to elderly or vulnerable populations. The board members nod, making notes. I do not wish Tyler further suffering, I conclude, but I have learned the hard way that compassion without boundaries enables harm rather than healing. Thank you. As I return to my seat, I feel lighter, as though setting down a burden carried too long. Tyler is invited to speak next. He approaches the podium, hands clasped before him, a posture of humility I've seen him practice before. I want to thank the board for considering my case, he begins, and I want to thank my mother for coming today. I know it couldn't have been easy. His voice sounds different, less smooth, more hesitant. Everything she said is true. I exploited her trust. I stole from her. I put my desires above her basic needs. He swallows visibly. There's no excuse for what I did. None. He turns slightly toward me, though protocol prevents direct interaction. The victim impact program here made me face what I'd done. Not just the money, but the harm, the hunger, the fear, the isolation. His voice cracks. I had to write out exactly what my actions cost her. Not just dollars, but dignity. For the first time, I hear something new in his voice. Not the polished remorse of his manipulations, but something rawer, less practiced. I don't expect or deserve forgiveness, but I want the board to know I accept full responsibility and the consequences of my actions. If granted parole, I will abide by all conditions, including the restraining order. I understand why it's necessary. The board asks several questions about his release plan, employment prospects, support systems. Tyler answers directly, without the charm offensive I'd grown to recognize. When the hearing concludes, the board announces they will deliver their decision within 2 weeks. As Tyler is escorted out, our eyes meet one final time. He nods once, not a plea or a manipulation, but a simple acknowledgement. Outside, Catherine wraps an arm around my shoulders. You did it. How do you feel? I consider the question carefully. Finished, I finally say. Whatever they decide, I've said what I needed to say. Do you think he's changed? The question that's haunted me since his letter arrived. I don't know, I admit. And I don't need to know. That's not my responsibility anymore. As we walk to the car, my phone chimes with a text from Lily. Proud of you, Grandma. Emma and I are making dinner for when you get home. Home. Not just a house anymore, but a place of safety, of boundaries, of growth. Whether Tyler has changed or not, I have. And that makes all the difference. The community center buzzer sounds, signaling the end of our session. 20 seniors gather their materials as I collect the handouts on financial safety. Same time next week, everyone, I remind them. And remember to bring those scam mail examples for our Spot the Red Flags exercise. Evelyn, a spry 82-year-old, lingers behind. That story you shared today about the fake IRS call that happened to my neighbor last month. I recognized it from your description and stopped her before she bought those gift cards. That's exactly why we do this, I tell her, warmth spreading through my chest. It's been 2 years since Tyler's parole hearing. He was released after serving 18 months, with strict conditions including financial monitoring, regular check-ins with his parole officer, and the restraining order remaining in effect. I've had no direct contact with him since. Officer Jennings provides occasional updates. He's maintaining employment at a warehouse, attending required counseling, fulfilling restitution payments, though the amounts are small compared to what was taken. My life has found a new rhythm. The Seniors Against Fraud program I volunteer with twice weekly gives purpose to my painful experience. My relationship with Catherine and my granddaughters has deepened through regular visits and video calls. The garden produces more vegetables than I can eat, so I share with neighbors who once brought me food when I was starving. As I gather my belongings, the center director approaches. Margaret, there's someone asking to speak with you. I told him you don't take unscheduled meetings, but he was quite insistent. My heart stutters. Who is it? He didn't give a name. Middle-aged man, well-dressed. Said it was about your program. I follow her to the reception area, tension gathering between my shoulder blades. But the man waiting isn't Tyler. Mrs. Wilson? I'm Michael Brennan, from the State Attorney General's office. Do you have a moment? We sit in the center's small cafeteria, his business card on the table between us. We're expanding our Elder Fraud Prevention Initiative, he explains. Your program has been highlighted as a grassroots success. We'd like to discuss potentially replicating it statewide. The conversation that follows feels surreal, my small effort at healing being recognized, my painful experience transforming into something that might help others. As I drive home afterward, excitement bubbles through me. I call Catherine immediately. That's incredible, Mom, she says when I explain. I'm so proud of you. I keep thinking about how different things might have been if I'd had something like this 12 years ago. You can't change the past, she reminds me gently, but look at what you're doing with it. At home, I find an official-looking envelope in my mailbox. Inside is a letter from Tyler's parole officer, informing me that he's completed his parole requirements and the supervised period has ended. The restraining order remains in effect by court decision, renewable if I choose. I sit on my porch swing, absorbing this news. The fear I expected doesn't materialize. Instead, I feel a quiet acknowledgement, another chapter closing. The phone rings, my granddaughter Lily, calling from her college dorm. Grandma, I got the internship. Her excitement bubbles through the line as she describes the position at a legal advocacy center for seniors. The irony doesn't escape me, how Tyler's actions indirectly shaped her career interests. It doesn't pay much, she admits, but the experience is exactly what I want. I'm sending you something to help, I tell her. A small supplement, not from my limited funds, but from the trust Catherine and I established with the insurance settlement from my identity theft case. We couldn't recover what Tyler stole, but we created something new, a modest but meaningful education fund for both girls. After we hang up, I check my security app out of habit, though it's been months since any alerts. The cameras show only my peaceful yard, the garden now dormant for winter. The doorbell rings unexpectedly. Through the peephole, I see a delivery person with a package. It's a book, Financial Safety for Seniors, with a note from Mr. Brennan at the Attorney General's office referencing our earlier conversation. As I flip through the pages, a small envelope falls out. Inside is a plain card with unfamiliar handwriting. I saw your program mentioned in the Prizen newsletter. I'm glad you're helping others avoid what I did to you. I remain sorry beyond words. I'm respecting the boundaries you've set and will continue to do so. If you ever want to know how I'm doing, Officer Jennings can tell you. Either way, I wish you peace. T. I sit with the card for a long time, emotions washing through me in waves, grief for what was lost, acknowledgement of harm done, and something quieter that isn't quite forgiveness, but might be acceptance. I don't need to respond, don't need to reopen communication. The boundaries I've established have helped me heal, and I'm not obligated to change them. Yet something has shifted. The card finds its place in the drawer with David's journal and Tyler's prison letter, not hidden away in shame or fear, but stored as part of a complex history that no longer defines my present. That evening, Catherine calls with travel plans for their Christmas visit. As we talk, I look around my home, warm, secure, truly mine again. The refrigerator hums, stocked with proper food. My medication organizer sits neatly filled on the counter. Bills are paid, finances managed. Mom, you got quiet. Everything okay? Catherine asks. Yes, I say, and mean it completely. I was just thinking about how far we've come. After we hang up, I bundle up and step into my backyard. The winter air is crisp, the garden beds covered with protective mulch for the season. I've been preparing the soil for spring planting, working in compost and nutrients. Gardens, like people, can recover from seasons of neglect. With proper care, even the most depleted soil can nurture new growth. I stand under the night sky, breathing deeply, present in this moment of my reclaimed life. The past cannot be undone, but it no longer holds power over my future. Whatever Tyler wears now, warehouse uniform, business casual, or once an orange jumpsuit, is his own journey to navigate. My concern is no longer what he does with his life, but what I do with mine. And for the first time in many years, that feels exactly as it should be. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.